everyone, this is Jade, Promise Fellow Leader with the Minnesota Alliance with Youth, and today I'm here to show you how to enter baseline data into OnCorps. This data is important for us because it shows a need and it also captures the impact that you all have on your focus list students every day. So first step is logging in. From there you'll go to reporting, submit reports, and click on student tracking. Now I already have 5 fake student profiles built in here, but the first time you will come here you won't see this. All you'll see is create a new student, which you'll click on, and it will bring you to this blank form where you will literally just put data in. First name, last name of the student, gender, birth date, race or ethnicity, what grade the student is in, and then the 13-digit MARS number. That is a number that follows a student throughout their entire time in grade school, and it's a unique number to each student, so you'll have to ask your supervisor for that information. And you'll click on which service site you're at. For the purposes of this video, I'm at a test site. Then you'll click on which county you're serving in. I just chose Anoka because it's at the top of the list. And then status will be actively serving. Now this may change throughout the year. If after 90 days or longer than that, you and your youth success team decide that a student can be removed from the focus list, or if a student moves or something like that, you can choose inactive and then type in the reason for inactive status. But you are actively serving them now. Then we have some additional demographic info pieces down here. The top 2 are ones that are shared with us the most, so I would focus on those. And you can get that information from your supervisor to find out if they're comfortable sharing it as to whether or not these students are ELL students or have IEPs or things like that. And then down here we have 3 categories of baseline data. We have attendance, student engagement, and work completion. Students can qualify to be on your focus list in a number of ways, but you need that data first before you can start serving them. Attendance is one way of finding this out. So for the purposes of this video, I looked at Patrick Henry High School's calendar year, and then I subtracted winter break and things like that, and I found out that during the school year they have 178 academic days. And so then I have last year's data, which told me that this particular student had 18 days absent and 10 days arriving late to school. And so the threshold for attendance is they missed 10% or more of their academic days. And so this student would actually qualify on attendance alone because they missed 18 days of school out of 178 days, so that is just above 10%, so they would qualify this way. If you don't have access to last year's attendance data for whatever reason, whether they are a 6th grader now in middle school or just moved on to high school, regardless, if you don't have that information, what you can do is go off of the first month of school, go off of that data. So you can look at September, for instance, and figure out how many academic days were in September and how many days they were absent in September, and divide those and see if your student can qualify that way. Another way they can qualify is through the student engagement instrument tool that we have that you will administer. It'll look a little bit different if you're at a school site or a community site. If you're at a school site, you will be getting counselor and supervisor referrals for students who may not qualify under attendance, but there are still concerns around that student not engaging in school. So, or you could self-refer them if you see them always having their head down at their desk. You could administer the SEI and check their total there. That threshold is 70 or below, so if they have a score of 70 or below, they would qualify for the student engagement portion of this. And another thing you'll need to look at is work completion. You'll choose a core subject to focus on, and then you'll track that throughout the year to see how much work they're getting done in that class. But it's important to know that students cannot qualify to be on your focus list for work completion alone. They can qualify on attendance alone, on student engagement alone, or a combination of those. So it could be attendance and work completion, attendance and student engagement and work completion. But it can't be just work completion because Promise Fellows are more than tutors. and it can't also be all three. Now, we understand that a lot of students will qualify under all three of these categories, but we just ask when that happens that you be selective and you focus on one or two of those categories. So maybe they qualify for all three, but you decide that you're going to focus most on attendance with them, or you're going to focus most on student engagement and work completion with them. That's up to you what you want to focus on. Maybe have that conversation with your supervisor about what would be best. Figure out what supports that student may already be getting. Another thing to keep in mind is with the SEI tool. If you administer it to a student and their score is slightly above 70, and you and your supervisor still have concerns about that student not engaging in school, and they don't qualify any other way, please reach out to your trainer to see what can be done about that. And also keep in mind, like I said, if you're at a school site, you can administer this through getting referrals from counselors or your supervisor. And if you're at a community site, if the numbers make sense, you could administer the SEI to all of the 6th through 10th grade population that you are serving and see who qualifies that way and go from there. If you have questions about that, also please reach out to your trainer. And so then after you enter all of that baseline information, the last thing you need to do is include the start date when you started serving that particular student. And then these end dates are for when you stop serving that student, if that happens. If you see them throughout the entire school year, this end date could be the last day of school, and then let's say there was a 3-week gap, and then you started serving in a summer program where you saw that student again. Then when that summer program starts, you could include that as your second start date, and then whenever that summer programming ends, or if your term of service ends and then you no longer see that student, that would be the second end date. So I hope all of this was helpful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your trainer.